Welcome back everyone, and get ready to discover one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare American coins. Today we are diving into the history, hidden secrets and astonishing value of the Liberty Quarter Dollar from the year 1965. This coin, which at first glance might look like just another ordinary quarter you could easily find in your pocket change, has become a true legend among collectors and historians. Imagine holding a small piece of history in your hand, a coin that was minted nearly 6 decades ago, and yet today it is valued at a breathtaking $103.5 million in the rarest and most valuable form. That is more than the value of mansions, supercars and even private islands combined, all packed into a single 25-cent piece that once jingled in someone's pocket. The story of the 1965 Liberty Quarter Dollar is deeply tied to one of the most dramatic changes in United States coinage history. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. These coins had intrinsic value because of their precious metal content, and people across the country recognized that as silver prices began to rise in the early 1960s, the value of these coins was becoming greater than their face value. By 1964, many Americans were hoarding silver quarters, dimes and half dollars, knowing their silver content could one day make them far more valuable. The government realized this problem, and in 1965 a monumental decision was made. For the first time, quarters would no longer be struck in silver. Instead, they would be minted using a clad composition made of copper and nickel bonded together, designed to look like silver on the outside but with a copper core at the center. This was the birth of the modern clad quarter we all know today, and the year 1965 stands as a turning point in American coinage history. However, the transition was not perfectly smooth. During the shift from silver to clad coinage, mistakes were bound to happen. Some silver planchets from 1964 accidentally found their way into the presses during 1965. These are the famous transitional error quarters that were struck on leftover 90% silver blanks when they were supposed to be made of the new copper nickel clad composition. These rare mistakes are what make certain 1965 quarters astronomically valuable. Collectors and experts are always searching for these hidden gems because they can turn a regular-looking coin into one worth millions of dollars. Now let us talk about the design itself. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan back in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. This design continued for decades, and by 1965 had already become iconic. On the reverse side, the coin displays the majestic American eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both military readiness and the desire for peace. Even though it may seem like a common design, when you know the history behind the metal composition, the minting transition and the errors that occurred, every detail of the 1965 quarter becomes more meaningful. The value of a 1965 Liberty Quarter Dollar depends heavily on what type it is and its condition. A regular clad 1965 quarter found in circulation today is usually worth only face value, maybe a few cents more to a collector if it is in mint state condition. But here is where the story takes an exciting twist. If a 1965 quarter was accidentally struck on a silver planchet, then its value skyrockets into unbelievable figures. These silver transitional error coins are extremely rare and can sell for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars at major auctions. Imagine walking into a coin shop or checking your pocket change and realizing you are holding one of the rarest transitional errors in American history. That is like winning the lottery in the world of coin collecting. But among all the 1965 Liberty quarters ever minted, there exists one legendary example that has taken the numismatic world by storm. This particular coin, preserved in remarkable condition and verified as one of the rarest silver transitional errors, has reached a market valuation of $103.5 million. That staggering figure places it among the most valuable coins in existence, rivaling even the rarest gold and silver coins ever struck by the United States Mint. Collectors and investors dream of owning such a piece because it represents not just money but a story, a transition, and a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that connects us to a pivotal moment in American history. Think about what makes this coin so captivating. It is not just the silver content, nor is it just the date. It is the combination of rarity, history, error, and survival that makes the 1965 Liberty Quarter so extraordinary. Most of the coins minted in that year were clad, and millions upon millions were struck. But the few that were mistakenly struck on silver blanks stand apart like shining stars. They are the hidden treasures that turn an ordinary quarter into a multi-million-dollar artifact, collectors often say that coin collecting is like treasure hunting because you never know what might appear in your pocket change or inside an old family coin jar. Every 1965 quarter you see has the potential to be something much greater than it seems. Many people overlook these coins because they assume anything after 1964 has no silver and little value. But experts know to check carefully, weighing the coin, examining the edges and testing the metal to see if it might be one of the elusive silver transitional errors. The allure of the 1965 Liberty quarter dollar also teaches us something deeper about history and value. A small coin once minted for everyday commerce can transform into a symbol of rarity and wealth when it carries with it a story that connects generations. From the economic struggles of the 1960s to the government's response to silver hoarding to the accidents that slipped past the minting process, this coin embodies an era of change in American currency, and that brings us back to its staggering modern value. $103.5 million is not just a number, it represents the highest levels of rarity, condition, and demand. Collectors and investors are willing to pay such sums because they know they are acquiring something that will never be repeated. There will never again be a first year of clad quarters mixed with leftover silver planchets in exactly the same way. That moment in time is gone forever, but the coins that survived continue to tell the story. So the next time you see a 1965 quarter, pause for a moment. Look at its details, consider its history, and imagine the possibility that it might not be an ordinary coin at all. It might be a rare silver transitional error, a hidden treasure worth far more than anyone expects. Somewhere out there, tucked away in a drawer, sitting in a jar of old change, or resting in a forgotten roll of quarters, could be the next great discovery waiting to shock the world with its value, and that is the magic of the Liberty quarter dollar from 1965. What started as an everyday piece of pocket change has become one of the most astonishing treasures of American coinage, worth a fortune and carrying with it a story that will never be forgotten.